FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
WikiLeaks was an extraordinary experience for us, in part because I can't remember a time in the nearly 29 years I've been at the Times. We've dealt with a lot of leaked material. We've never dealt with leaked material on this scale. And of course, one of the first decisions we had to go make was whether or not we would publish it, and then under what conditions. And we didn't just take this material and throw it out into the open. We went through it with great care. We redacted a number of things, particularly the names of individuals who were either sources of the U.S. government or people who were clearly working for the U.S. government or intelligence agencies. We redacted anything about ongoing operations. And we got into a very lengthy discussion and debate with the Obama administration, which I'll be happy to discuss in greater detail if it's of interest to anybody, about what we should publish or not. And it wouldn't surprise you that the Obama administration's going in position was that none of it should be published, that it was all classified material and therefore should all remain secret. Our position at the beginning of this was, look, whether the New York Times publishes this or not, it's getting out there, because we were not the only one to have it. Obviously, WikiLeaks itself was getting ready to publish. They've only published a few thousand of them. Der Spiegel, The Guardian. One thing that we would not accede to the government's urgings not to publish was information that was merely embarrassing. We said we wouldn't do sources, we wouldn't do things that we thought had a high chance of getting people captured or killed. But if a foreign leader had said something that they simply didn't want to be quoted saying, or an observation was made about a group of foreign leaders, that we thought was news, and that the damage would probably, we thought, be relatively limited and of a short duration. So, for example, you read in WikiLeaks that the King of Saudi Arabia told the United States that in relation to Iran and its nuclear program, he believed that the U.S. needed to cut off the head of the snake. You heard that the King of Bahrain, who now has other problems on his hands, was very concerned and believed that the United States should actually bomb the Iranian nuclear sites. In the case of Tunisia, we didn't even run the cables that we had seen on Tunisia. I wish I could say that proudly, but frankly, we were looking for big strategic countries and what we learned about them: Afghanistan, Iraq, China, Israel, the list went on. We didn't spend very much time looking at Tunisia, but others did, and other publications ran them. And what the Tunisians read in those cables were the wry observations of U.S. diplomats. And by the way, if these cables proved anything, it proved that U.S. diplomats are actually pretty good writers, which shocked our British friends. But what we learned was that U.S. diplomats were reporting back about the high lifestyle of President Ben Ali, and particularly his wife. And the whole image of them sitting by the pool with caviar and champagne while everybody else out in the country was making $2 a day, was a pretty sharp contrast. Now, the Tunisians knew all of this, but there are some U.S. officials who believe that reading that American officials knew about it and were reporting it back to Washington was particularly embarrassing and helped become one of the sparks. Now, we'll never know, and I've heard this argued many different ways, but I think it is fair to say that it was some form of contributing factor, just as in Egypt, Facebook was some form of contributing factor, but you can't quantify it.